Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I would like to start by thanking NAPP, the Network of Asian Pacific Producers, for giving us this platform today so that we can have an exchange and talk about cotton and fair trade and have an engaging discussion. I would also like to thank all our panelists for taking out the time to speak with us today. And I would like to start with maybe a few words. So I'm Subindu from Fairtrade, responsible for cotton based out of Fairtrade Foundation in the UK. This has been a crazy year for all of us, and it has shown us again how we are all interconnected in so many ways, including our supply chains. It has thrown off the balance, the market balance for the fashion sector, and some economists are forecasting that it will take us about 2 years to come back to a pre-pandemic kind of a situation. For cotton, we have also seen that again human rights have come up on the forefront, especially on forced labor, and we have also seen some questions around integrity of some of the sustainable cotton claims. Fairtrade cotton is produced both in Africa and Asia, but most of it comes from Asia and particularly India. 75% of it is produced in India. And most of our supply chain that processes Fairtrade cotton is also based out of Asia. Though there is still a long journey for us in Fairtrade cotton, but we have seen growth. We have seen that the producers, the amount of premium that they have been receiving for cotton has almost doubled in the last 4 to 5 years. And the latest data shows about 1.5 million euros that they receive as premium. 50% of this premium is used in agricultural inputs, and we know most beyond minimum price and premium also supports producers through various projects in partnership with commercial partners or with institutional funding, ranging from education to non-GMC development, and also lately a lot of engagement on COVID relief and resilience, both for bringing in food security or providing them with other benefits. So in order to get a sense of who we have in our audience today, I would request the first poll to come up so that we can see who's participating today. And I would now like to request Ranjit, who is the regional manager of NAPP, to say a few words. Ranjit, over to you.
Thank you, Subindu. Good day, everybody. Gideon, can I have my presentation on, please? Gideon?
We just finish the poll and then maybe Ranjit can take over.
Okay, and in the meantime, while people are filling in the poll, I would just want to request everyone to please share your thoughts and comments in the chat section and keep asking us questions so that we can try and make it as interactive as possible. And we'll try and pick up the questions as well as we go along, or maybe towards the end. Let's see how we're doing for time.
Yeah, so good day, everybody. We at NAPP welcome you all to this cotton webinar. This is the last in our series of webinar this year. I will start with giving an overview of the NAPP's cotton producers, the effects of COVID, and what NAPP as well as the producers have done in response to it. and the last would be the concerns of the producers. So as far as cotton production in Asia is concerned, India is the largest producer of cotton. About 18% of the world's cotton is produced in India. In terms of cultivable area, again, India is the highest, with 25% of the world's cultivated area in cotton in India. The cotton growing states mainly are Maharashtra, Gujarat, Odisha, Telangana, and Tamil Nadu. Pakistan is another country where NAPP's producers are there, and Pakistan is ranked among the fourth in the cotton producing countries, third largest in terms of spinning capacity in Asia. Pakistan's cotton belt extends over 1,200 kilometers along the Indus River and provides livelihood to about 1.5 million smallholders. In Central Asia, basically, we have our cotton producers in Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, where it is grown in highly fertile soils irrigated by the Amu Darya and Siri Darya, tributaries since 5600 AD. Now, the next slide, please. Yeah. So here in the on the map, here's where we are placed. There are 15 producer organizations that are Fairtrade certified, of which has about 40,000 odd farmer members. India has got the highest of 12, of which 2 are under the small producer organization and 10 are contract production. In Pakistan, we have 1 contract production. In Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, that's in Central Asia, we have 2. So in all, we have about 15 producer organizations. The next, please. As far as COVID issues are, COVID and other issues among cotton producers are concerned, this year, because of COVID, we saw many contract producers, traders, and all having left with excess stockpiling, and the market prices have crashed, resulting in no possibilities of trade for upcoming months. The sales have plummeted due to withdrawal of existing contracts, reduced number of new orders, all because of COVID, and lockdowns and other logistical issues compounded the problem. This impacted their cash flows and to support the operational work. Apart from this, Pakistan also had the added issue of locusts severely affecting their cotton crop this year. Next, please. Next, please. Can I have the next slide? Hello. Hello.
Is the slide visible?
No,
Now we're still on the old slide.
Yeah, so as far as NAPP's work to address the COVID is concerned, this year we had, FI had provided the relief fund, which was actually used by producers to reimburse their certification fee, or in some cases for providing COVID-related projects, with regard to the coordination and support of FI resilience funds, we have multiple funds that have come in. We have multiple proposals that have come in, and which are primarily directed towards strengthening their supply chain. And we will move forward the moment we hear more from Fairtrade International. With regard to the external funding support, we had SICO GIZ helping us out this year with SICO funds of about 64,070 Swiss francs for 5 cotton producers. Again, this was used to primarily strengthen their supply chain. The GIZ India project has about 3 producers, but this particular fund is being handled by FTF UK, of which Subindu probably, Subindu is the one who's handling this. Then the Fairtrade premium has been used by several producers to mitigate the impact of pandemic distribution by distributing preventive equipment and food rations. The next, please. The next, yeah. Apart from NAPP, the producers themselves have taken a lot of steps to confront the pandemic, of which distribution of food packages, rations, farming inputs, ensuring educational and health assistance in families in face of reduced income, livelihood support, livestock donation, tailoring machines to women, mobile repairing centers, other upskilling programs. Then they have also invested in feeding vulnerable families through Fairtrade premiums and supporting funds. Then providing preventive equipment like sanitizers and masks. They've also moved into collective procurement of seeds. The next one. Yeah. This is the last slide, which would set the tone for this webinar. Is basically the apprehension going forward and the concerns that the producers have expressed is that given the current financial situation, cotton producers are concerned about paying fees. This, of course, this year's fees we have FI has provided the relief fund to reimburse that. The MSP of cotton is higher in India than the Fairtrade minimum price, and this is why we have an organic differential pilot which is being planned this year, wherein a certain portion of funds would go to the farmer directly. Then there's the concern of increasing productivity, especially in face of climate change. So this is where the climate smart and innovative technologies that we need to invest on, at least as a pilot, to show their efficacy. Post-COVID, they're worried about sufficient demand for offtake of cotton and the kind of time that the businesses will take time to get to pre-COVID levels. And the producers also would like to know the NFO's plans in creating market linkages and increasing sales under the Fairtrade category. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope the participants get the answer and solutions for their concern, if not everything, at least partly by the end of this webinar. Over to Subindu. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ranjit. We have a wide audience today. I think Aziz has dropped off. Okay, I'm hoping everyone will be able to solve the technological issues and be back on the panel. So we have right from producers to the buyers today, and also representation from many different countries. And I hope that will be able to contribute to look at the picture from different perspectives and get a sense of the various concerns and issues that we have. I'd like to start by inviting and introducing our producer representatives. So first up, we have Pravakar. He's the director from Pratima Group from India and has been engaged with Fairtrade for many years and is also a big supporter of organic and local varieties. Next, we have Bilal Bajwa from Pakistan. He is the director of South Asian sourcing, and he works both with producers as well as helps them with sourcing or linking them with the markets. I am not sure we have a third producer, but I think they have dropped off, and once they're back, we can come back to them. So we have a producer representative from Tajikistan as well. So starting with, I'm going to ask the same question to all of you. So starting with Pravakar, I wanted to understand what are the challenges that the farmers face in the production as well as trading of sustainable cotton, and maybe not just the challenges, but also what are the opportunities with this, and how does Fairtrade support you with this? So over to you, Pravakar.
Hello everyone. I think time is very short, but when you talk of challenges, the producer's life are, completely filled of challenges. So, but still, I would like to highlight some we need to think of now. As in the presentation made by Ranjit, it also was a part of it. I think the biggest challenge till now, as we are normally in India, wherever cotton produced, the major areas are, rain-fed areas. And the biggest challenges in this kind of land is this uneven climate distribution, what we call as, climate change conditions. Though the whole world is talking of, but most of us has not yet felt it personally, except some changes in temperature and rain pattern. But the producers, I think, are the worst sufferer till now, because marketing of cotton and sustainability is second part. The first priority always of a producer is how to grow cotton and ensure that what he estimates come out of the farm, and that has been very challenging. When the crop is almost ready, rain comes or some small cyclones come and the crop is damaged. There are qualities issues. So the climate change has been really very devastating in last almost 6-7 years. The production has been like decreasing, or some other issues like challenges in qualities and all we have been facing in last 6-7 years. So this has the biggest challenge we need to think of now. Though Fairtrade and now when we talk of what Fairtrade has been doing for it, I think we are the alone.
What it
Pardon?
is already doing, and also what it can do in the future. So you can talk about both.
Yeah. Like we are, I think we are the only standard, like who are talking of being carbon neutral, the carbon talking on the climate changes, including all its standards. Though 2-3 years back the line, it was still on documents, but I think from this year we all are planning on it, and even NAPP has also already had planned some training programs to all producers. Because I was also part of that consultation, I knew it very well. But still, for COVID, it has been delayed, but it will definitely, we are taking up these issues on NAPP level, and even on producers level. We need to make some awareness, more and more awareness. But definitely this thing will come up. Next challenge we can talk of there, I think in that presentation also it was part like challenging political issues and scenarios. Like in India, it's almost like from 2013, stated minimum support price is always less than the market price in India. So, to keep farmer motivated, we should at least have, this kind of levels that at least we ensure that we are far better than government. But in that case, the whole system, the supply chain gets disrupted, because if we calculate this year, the MSP is when we purchase cotton and process the cotton in the current market price, what our government has set. So comparatively, like to compare to the world cotton, I think we will be costlier by 10%, 15%. So in that case, the whole supply chain gets disturbed, because the buyer will say that no, the cotton is higher, and again a premium on that. So this political scenarios has been quite challenging. Like MSPs has been increasingly every year increasing and increasing. And not even like it's not like linked to the global prices. So like we are now like getting very costly compared to the global prices. Next thing is, though Subindu has been saying that demand has been increasing and all, but still I think that it might be a concern that this demand should stay consistent. Because it shouldn't be like that. Okay, this year we have certain like example like 500 tons metric ton demand. If it goes down next year, like it goes to 300 or something, so it becomes a kind of demotivation to farmer that okay, last year we made some good such nice projects out of this premium, but this year no premium. So this has been also being challenged, this inconsistent demand. And as brands are also present here, so I think we can also take up this issue, like long-term commitments kind of thing, so that we can ensure our producers that okay, this kind of premium would be continued for longer terms, and it is ensured that whatever you produce under fair trade, we will be in a position to sell it.
Okay, thank you so much, Pravakar. Now moving on to Bilal, asking the same question: what are the challenges or the opportunities that you might see with production? How are they similar or different from what Pravakar has already mentioned? Over to you, please. You're muted, Bilal, you're muted. We still can't hear you.
Hello. Yeah. First of all, good morning and good afternoon, because our few colleagues are from the European side, and Indians, good afternoon. First of all, our senior, Mr. Pravakar, have explained well about the challenges like climate and others. He is senior as well. Other than there are certain challenges we are facing country-wise, like in Pakistan, we don't have a specialized technical resource. Using that, we can take help for the production of our crops or our products over there. And secondly is the major problem is about the seed availability, non-GMO seed availability. And we don't have a specialized lab here in Pakistan from where we can go for the testing and we can check to ensure that is this a GMO or non-GMO seed for our next crop. Currently, we are facing a lot of problem on that, and we are sending to the Netherlands for the testing. And after getting the confirmation, we have to go for the fields. For the challenges, the next about the support or availability of fertilizer, natural fertilizers. We don't have that in Pakistan. Like even in private organization or from the government institutes, we don't have facility who can provide the natural fertilizers or pesticides. So currently at the individual effort, we are trying to develop that. But from an institute or from the government, we don't have that. The other, like Mr. Pravakar have explained well, I agree with him. If we are talking about the opportunities, yes, our farmers have opportunity to sell their product once they are producing with a lot of effort, hard working in the fields. So they are getting the good price on that. Plus they are getting the premium, and using that premium, even they can use the laser leveler for the land preparation. We are giving them trainings from their nearby, a very specialized institute is Cotton Institute in Multan. So we are giving them the trainings also. They have tractors. Their transportation is very easy on that. So these are the opportunities for our farmers. But at other side, if we see that what our expectations from the brands, that is again different. What they need is they need the top quality with zero trash. They are looking for a very excellent and refined product. But at the side of prices, they want to pay on the conventional rates. So from brands, they are expecting to get the better quality with the less rate, which is again not possible. So these are the mainly points from our side.
Thank you so much, Bilal. Aziz, I think Boimamat is not able to join us. Is that right? You're muted as well, Aziz. We still can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Subindu, thank you. So I talked to Boimamat by WhatsApp. So I suggest he will talk to my phone. Okay. I will translate because he has a technical problem to access from his office to internet. Let me call him. Because I was thinking how we can connect with Boimamat. Okay. Let me call and I will ask him to talk to my phone. This is his Boimamat. I will translate.
So for the sake of the audience, we were trying to get Boimamat, who is...
Boimamat, ваша презентация сейчас, вы говорите, я буду переводить. Вступительное это, я имею в виду, можете сказать.
Yeah. So he is the chief of the board of the cooperative in Tajikistan. And our colleague Aziz from Central Asia will try and help with the translation, as well as, I don't know how he's going to manage both WhatsApp and speak to us, but, you know.
He's starting his speech. He's starting his speech. Говорите, Boimamat. Начинайте.
Okay. Hopefully this will work, and we would like to hear from you about the challenges from your side.
He's talking. Good afternoon, dear participants, for today's cotton panel discussion. Продолжайте. His name is Boimamat. He's executive director of Biokishovarz Cooperative, located in Tajikistan. This is a cotton and organic cooperatives. Продолжайте. We was created in the framework of the two projects, GIZ and Helvetus, and it was established organic cotton cooperative in 2015. So our cooperative is located in the Republic of Tajikistan. This is a region of Central Asia. Nowadays, we are working in the 7 region of Tajikistan, 7 region of the country. So total, the free trade cotton workers number is 1,600. Up to 50% of the total area divided for the cotton production. So what we are dealing with, what are producing our cooperative, I will tell you in brief. So we have 3 departments. We have a marketing department, we have a production department, and we have internal control department. Gideon, can you download presentation of Mr. Boimamat? Gideon? Yes. Or yes. Yes. The production department dealing with growing of organic and Fairtrade cotton, and also it is all processing facilities. And these departments also are working with establishing or training in the organic and Fairtrade for the workers. We're also providing the service in the whole chain of the production cycle. And we're also providing mechanization services. It's been agriculture and cotton machinery. Also, we have a small department for production of biohumus. This is organic fertilizers. So with help of the non-GMO seeds project, with support of Fairtrade Germany, we established a small unit for, the unit for production of cotton seed without contamination of GMO. Дальше. The second department is Department for Internal Control. The main function of this department is with checking the contamination of GMO from the cotton seeds we collecting from the field, from the nursery. And also this department helping to monitor from the field to the collecting port is all process of cotton harvest without GMO contaminations, or the contamination of GMO less than 0.01. This requisite, yeah. And also we are working together with a factory, cotton factory, and also checking for the GMO contaminations. And this is a checkpoint also internally. Boimamat, у меня, да-да, такой, Boimamat, вы меня слышите? Здесь сейчас спрашивают основные, да, вот основные челлендж и ваши достижения. Вкратце, если можете сказать, потому что все, что вы говорите, это написано в презентации, они эти слышат, видят. Вот ваши челлендж и opportunity расскажите, пожалуйста, вкратце, в течение минуты. Ваши достижения и проблемы какие?
О том, что мы сейчас обеспечили всех наших фермеров качественными семенами, которые не содержат ГМО.
So the opportunities and the great success of our cooperatives that we are service our farmer or producers with the non-GMO contaminated seeds.
Okay, thank you so much, Aziz.
And we have a really good agreement with farmers, and we're working more focusing on non-GMO contamination. Спасибо большое, Boimamat. Я им это рассказал. Сейчас время закончилось. В дальнейшем продолжим. Спасибо. Они просто просят. Thank you very much, he said. He will try to join now.
Okay.
Continue to join.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Aziz. I would now like to invite and move towards the representative from the brands. I did see that Johan has also been able to join us. So if we can get our panelists representing the brands. First up, we have Mathias. He is the CEO of Brand Fashion from Germany. He has a lot of experience in the fashion sector and has worked in it throughout his career. Brand Fashion is a workwear, sustainable workwear company who not only engages with Fairtrade cotton, but also are front runners in the Fairtrade textile standard. Johan, do we have you online? I did see you join in. Okay. We have Christiane. She's the quality assurance manager from Varner and is part of the sustainability task force there. Varner is a Norwegian retailer which consists of many brands and is the largest fashion retailer in Scandinavia. We also have Johan, who is the founder of the sustainable casual wear brand Dedicated from Sweden. He also has a wide range of experience, right from launching brands to developing wholesale business, and is also a voice for the sector on responsible businesses. I think I would like to ask you guys a similar question, when we're talking about the challenges. So what are the challenges that you face as a brand with trading and marketing of sustainable cotton. And again, not just the challenges, if you could also cover some of the opportunities that it comes with, and also how Fairtrade is supporting you guys. So maybe we can start with Mathias and then Christiane and Johan, and you can answer the same question. And I can repeat it if we've lost track of what the question was. So over to you, Mathias, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, and good morning or good afternoon, good evening to everyone here from Hamburg in Germany. I've clustered my answers a little bit in order to browse through it and to give a little bit of the insight what challenges we as a brand in Europe are facing. Firstly, I would like to talk a little bit about the purchasing problems within the supply chains which we currently face, not only to COVID-19, but which were also there prior to that, but which of course are now a little bit, not a little bit, a lot actually worsened due to this pandemic situation. We buy all our yarns from India and have our garment productions in India, in Bangladesh, and in Pakistan. And especially for garment productions in Bangladesh and Pakistan, it becomes now more and more difficult to ensure the transparency along the supply chains. This is definitely needed by our B2B customers, who of course do not simply rely on us, but they of course inspect us and check on us, which is completely fine. But if we are not working together and exchanging information quickly, there might be hesitance and skepticism coming up, and this is something we could easily prevent by having a full, quick, transparent access to supply chain, maybe even by increasing technologically terms, blockchains, for example, make it more easier, simpler for everyone to be transparent, because that is actually what our end customers need here. Yeah, we need to prove all the time where the cotton at the end of the day comes from. That's the bottom line. And if we cannot do this on time, yeah, skepticism is there. Another big challenge for us is the unawareness of some of our tier one of our garment makers in these countries. We are very reluctant in bringing in new factories, tier one factories, so we stick to our partners. However, there's here and there questions which need to be answered. There's a lot of uncertainties within the supply chain. That is what we tackle right now from Germany in a virtual meeting like this, with all the technical features and technical problems. And that's of course also a challenge, and that delays things. And we also sometimes believe it's only indirectly our job teaching factories. We can't do that. Fortunately, we have offices on the ground, and they try to help us here in giving these factories a little bit of scholarship. Yeah, at least said it's more difficult now in COVID-19 times. For example, we are now setting up a new supply chains for shoes, and this is crazily challenging if you can't travel to these countries in need and countries of production, and explaining this face to face and sharing a computer screen is not the same as if we do it virtually than if you do it next to each other. Hopefully that will be someday better. Yeah. Then lastly, we observe, and I heard this already from, I think it was Ranjit or Pravakar, I'm not sure, that there is a shortage in yarn. And we have observed that especially in production countries like Bangladesh, that there's a shortage of guaranteed Fairtrade certified yarn. And that came up recently, and it alarms me. And we need now to seek answers and replies to our customers. For your information, we have converted 47 of our customers into Fairtrade customers, from conventional cotton into Fairtrade cotton. And of course, if there is now trouble in the supply chain, none of that would take that easily, and we need to have good answers and explanations for them. That's also one of our massive challenges we face. The question which I'm asking myself then, is there too less certified suppliers? I just saw now 15. Is it too little to fulfill the demand? I have no real conclusion to that. Are there too less vendors of yarn? Is there too less yarn in the market, or raw cotton, or what is the answer here? For example, why is there no certified spinning mill in Bangladesh? Bangladesh being one of the largest production countries for textiles in Asia, and has also done a lot over the last 10 years. I traveled to Bangladesh since the late 90s and have seen how this country has really developed, especially after the disaster of Rana Plaza. Yeah, the marketing challenges which we see, of course, prices are higher. That's always a challenge. That's something we know and we explain to our customers, and we need to give them good reason why the price is higher. Not only telling them, okay, it's more money, but where does the money end up? What is tangible? What do they get for their money? What do they get for their will to support fair trade? And that's always, of course, something which is very, very challenging for us. And now, in addition, the availability trouble that could force some of our customers to move back to conventional cotton because they say this product is available, the other is not. So what can we do? We need consistency in supply chain. We're trying everything to prevent that. To explain where the premium goes to, we need to give them pictures, footage, show them, we need to add certain money, especially from our bigger clients, to a certain project so that they can also go out and market it and look, we do something good. It's a basic principle of do good and talk about it and show it to the world to also encourage others to do it. And for that, we need a lot of marketing input to do it. Otherwise, yeah, there can be reasons not to do it, and that is what none of us want. Finally, yeah, upcharge is a question, and I heard this, of course, with concern, and I want to be very transparent here, not just because we want to have a clap on the shoulder. That's not the reason for it, absolutely not. But sometimes it's us also covering the part. It's not the end customer always who has to pay. Sometimes it's us, because we believe that in business life, profit is one thing. Of course, as a private organization, we have to be profitable, but bringing things forward, moving things forward is the first step, and money you can earn also on down the line. And that is, again, why I like to emphasize is we need the help of Fairtrade to promote it with our end customers, with good fundings into good products. Workwear industry is an interesting field for Fairtrade product, yeah, that is why we are, I believe, one of these makers who are gathering a lot of premiums, and we need to see where these premiums end up to. That's from my side for this question. I wish everyone a good webinar.
Thank you, Matthias. So there are some clear themes that we're seeing, but we're also seeing the producers are saying there is more supply, but you're saying there isn't enough supply. So we definitely need to have a conversation around this. But over to you,
yes,
Christiane.
exactly.
Would like to hear from your side as well, how it is similar or different from Matthias's experience.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Christiane from Varner, one of the largest retailers in Scandinavia. We also have H&M to compete with. So
we can't hear you very well. Could you speak up a bit, or maybe there's some technical?
It was not a problem. Can you hear me well now? No?
Yes, I think it is a bit better now.
Very strange. I will try to speak loud.
Yes, it's a bit better now.
Okay. It might be the internet getting a bit slow. But hi everybody. I want to pick up the thread from Mathias regarding marketing of Fairtrade products. We as a brand, we kind of see that there are several challenges there by marketing sustainable cotton. As Mathias said, that customers still have, they still purchase with price and the need of renewing their wardrobe as top of mind, and not necessarily the sustainability aspect of the product. So we see that the wallet still controls a very large part of the decision making. Although we are seeing some trends that consumers have kind of greater interest in products with more sustainable benefits, but we also see that the processing of cotton and the production of textiles, they are often complex to describe, and customers themselves have little knowledge of the textile industry and how growing of cotton is done, how all kind of the supply chain works. So, and also the different certification schemes such as Fairtrade are also quite complex and technical to describe. And what we see within kind of today's media channels, we often have just a few seconds of the customer's attention. So it's very challenging to communicate like a complex message in a correct manner, and at the same time it being interesting enough and simple enough for the consumer. So marketing input, yes, indeed, it's needed, I think. And we also see that in this media landscape, at least in Scandinavia, where there have been a lot of focus from media and from the authorities, it is a certain danger of making mistakes and communicating incorrect claims. And one consequence of that, we see that the brands and the advertisers, they are kind of refuse to convey the sustainability measures that have actually been taken in fear of being accused of greenwashing. So here I think it is its potential of even more strong kind of marketing support here, because we see a big opportunity for players to do succeed in their communication and gain the consumers' trust around the sustainability commitments. So there will be a big advantage going forward if we do this correctly. And we see Fairtrade is today a player with the kind of a easy recognizable logo. It has been used in several industries, and I think that in Scandinavia and the European market, the Northern European market, we see that the brand of Fairtrade is recognizable for the consumer. They feel that it has a clear value. And that is, even though you still not often see Fairtrade logo on clothing in shops, the consumers still recognize it from other consumer products such as coffee and bananas. And that was in addition to, of course, the positive aspect of Fairtrade and the actual influence that the premium gives on farmers' life. The fact that Fairtrade was already established in the consumer's mind was a reason for starting the cooperation. So that we see as a great advantage towards consumers as well, that they will associate the branded clothing as something good, even though they don't really know what criteria that lies behind the logo. So I think working more with the marketing aspect together with Fairtrade, it will build up a broader visibility and a higher recognition factor with consumers, so that the consumer would have actually confidence in the product that we sell marked with Fairtrade. And then we also have some challenging in the trade, you can say. And what we see from our perspective is that it is challenging for the brands for the commercialization of Fairtrade products. And the problem is that unlike for coffee, where you pay a fee for the weight of coffee that you use or buy, regardless if you choose a fancy packaging and sell it as a premium product or not. For cotton, you pay also a fee based on the FOB price. And that for us makes it quite challenging to incorporate Fairtrade cotton into product group that has more expensive making or more trims. For example, jeans, to make an example, where trims and labels, washes and making adds significantly to the FOB price. So I think it would be easier for us to drive scale if the fee was set on the cotton consumption somehow and not the FOB price, and then at least the product part would not be an obstacle. It's not that we don't want to pay an upcharge, but I think it needs to be set also in a fair and predictable way. And as some other also has mentioned, another challenge that we face in the trade is the shortage of garment manufacturers who are certified to use Fairtrade cotton. And I would guess that this more or less applies for several parts of the supply chain as well, I guess. So that makes it limited somehow, the choice of suppliers and the choice then of products that we can make with Fairtrade cotton. So, but there are still good opportunities here to have kind of growth. I would believe that it possible to have more brands focused on Fairtrade certified cotton, and that it will make it easier for all of us to both buy and sell it. So I'm not sure if a possibility or an opportunity for Fairtrade might be to work more with the rest of the supply chain, not only producers and brands, but also kind of the second and third tier, to have the uptake of Fairtrade's cotton scale somehow by working closely with spinners and have them kind of use more Fairtrade, and it will be a demand from brands, but then it will be demand from the other way around, also from spinners and up the supply chain. So these are kind of the main challenges we see today.
Thank you so much for highlighting the issues that you are facing, and I think supply chain has come up twice already. So we will definitely be engaging more on this as well. And over to you, Johan, now to hear from your side, the challenges and opportunities as well. Please go ahead. You're probably muted. We can't hear you, Johan. We still can't hear you.
Hello?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Terribly sorry.
That's fine. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Subindu. Luckily, Mathias and Christiane has provided excellent, elaborated answers. And what we could add, first a bit background on dedicated. We've been a part of the Fairtrade program for the past 10, 11 years, and source the fibers from Chetna Organics and Subindu, mainly in Gujarat. Having said that, we're very far away from the realities of the cotton farmers in Gujarat, having only visited them for one time during this long period. And the consumer awareness is very, very low when it comes to these raw fibers. So even addressing these questions in a constructive ways is difficult. So no one really thinks about the extreme poverty in Gujarat and high risks of social and environmental problems at this part of the chain. What the consumer needs is very clear certifications, and Fairtrade has a huge advantage, just like Christiane pointed out, being a globally recognized symbol and label. So that's the main marketing advantage. Consumer don't need to know the nitty-gritty details. Rather, they know enough to trust Fairtrade. We don't have that luxury when it comes to the organic certifications. Terribly sorry for my staccato speaking is due to the echo. So we have the job with the supply chain. We push a lot of, not a lot, but the factories that we can have some impact over to get certified. It takes some time, up to 6 months usually, and also requires some resources and time for our buyers to push this agenda. But Fairtrade cotton has a very strong future as far as we're concerned. Now that when it comes to sustainable fashion, consumers in Europe reached somewhat a tipping point in terms of our interest in 2017. So prior to 2017, majority were not so interested and aware, but that changed due to all the good documentaries and the good work from organizations such as Fairtrade and GOTS and many other NGOs. So now it's opportune to talk about low impact fibers and socially compliant frameworks. So that is the main point. It's a guarantee for the consumer that decent working conditions and pay are guaranteed throughout the chain, from cotton seed to ready-made garment. Today, Fairtrade is the only certification that can provide that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Johan, for your input as well. I think if we could have the second poll up so that we can see what the audience think about the challenges that the cotton farmers face. And please keep sending your questions. We are seeing questions come in. And there are also, I think, just for everyone's information, the webinar is being recorded, and we will be able to listen to it later if you do not want to take all the notes. While you are going ahead with the polls, I would now want to invite and introduce our next two panelists. These are our colleagues from Norway and Germany. So we have Annabelle, who is the CEO of Fairtrade Norway. You will see her coming up on the screen shortly after the poll slide goes away. So Annabelle is the CEO at Fairtrade Norway, and before coming to Fairtrade, she has worked for 12 years with Varner in different CSR roles. And our second panelist is Mariska, who is the Senior Business Development Manager at Fairtrade Germany. She's been with Fairtrade since 2002, and for the last few years has been focusing on cotton and textiles and engaging with businesses in Germany. I'll just wait for a couple of seconds so that we have them up on screen, and then we can go ahead. Yes, here you are. Welcome, both of you. So it's already been a very interesting conversation. We've heard from the producers, we've heard from the brands, and your role sitting in the offices, which are for marketing of Fairtrade. We would like to hear your feedback as well. What are the trends that you are seeing in your country, and how do you think NFOs, the national Fairtrade organizations, the national marketing organizations for Fairtrade, can help the Fairtrade producers to see more growth? So maybe we start with Annabelle, and then Mariska, you answer the same question as well. Over to you, Annabelle, please.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for having me today. It has been really interesting so far listening to all the other panelists, and I think some of the things I will be saying actually tend to meet the things we've already heard. But talking about the Norwegian market, what I think I would like to start with is that Norwegian companies have actually been working for many, many years with questions related to CSR and sustainability. It has been high on the agenda. Also, it's part of because we have had some strong NGOs focusing a lot on the working conditions in the textile industry in general, asking questions.
We have lost you, Annabelle. We can't hear you anymore.
Hi, Annabelle. Would you like to unplug your microphone and insert it again?
Hello?
Yes, you're back.
Oh, so sorry about that. I don't know where you lost me. Did you hear anything or no?
Yes, we did.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Because I think it's a connection, unfortunately. But as I was saying, the focus on CSR has been quite high in Norwegian companies, especially because of the impact from NGOs. And they have been pressuring a lot and creating awareness both for consumers and companies about the working conditions in the textile industry. So I must say that the awareness of the challenges are very high. Thus, we have seen that many of the companies have actually committed to source sustainable cotton. And we also know that other initiatives have been quite successful to make companies shift from conventional to sustainable cotton. What is maybe an interesting point from the Norwegian market is that the interest we see is much higher from private brands and from retailers and in the business to consumer market, less so in the public procurement sector. So this is also where we as a Norwegian office have been working mostly and continuing on that in those segments. So fashion, home textile segment.
We have lost you again.
Lost me again? I'm so sorry.
You're back now.
Okay, I'm really sorry about that. That doesn't make the it's so easy for you to follow, and I'm not sure when you lose me, but I see you, Mariska. So when I see you do this, I know that you have lost me. So yes, this is primarily in the business to consumer market, in the fashion and home textile segment, that we see a positive interest in the Norwegian market. And we do believe there is an opportunity here to increase the share of Fairtrade cotton. What is also quite interesting, and I think that is also going back to some of the things we heard previously, is that the interest is is mostly for the cotton mark and less so for the mass balance, because we believe it's related to the difficulty to communicate around mass balance, and it's easier to communicate about a traceable the traceable cotton. And I think that is a bit what also was said regarding the marketing advantages of the label being recognized. And when talking about the challenges afterwards, I think we can relate to what Christiane said about communicating. It's still quite complex to communicate, and if you add the mass balance there, it gets even more complicated. So I think that was briefly the trends in the Norwegian market. Word to Mariska.
Yeah, over to you, Mariska, please.
Okay, good morning and good afternoon to everybody. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to be able to talk about trends and activities on the German market. Fairtrade Germany is currently the lead country in cotton sales within the Fairtrade network. Of course, if we think about global volumes of cotton, this is still a very small portion, but in the last year, Fairtrade Germany sourced 9,500 tons of cotton fiber on Fairtrade terms. But as we can see in Norway and in Sweden, but also in France, there are a lot of other countries in the Fairtrade network that are doing great work in marketing Fairtrade cotton and textiles to businesses. So I think in that context, we definitely we can count on continuing to grow in this category. And the market trends that we have on our markets, I think, are also the basis for our strategy 2021-2025 to grow in these fields where we see options and activities. Now, what I've brought up on the screen, Mathias Diestelmann from Brands Fashion should know this picture quite well. This is uniforms and workwear, where there's increased interest on retail level in this, and these uniforms that you can see below are uniforms sourced by since 2017 by our retailer Kaufland, and the uniforms come from Brands Fashion, are produced by Brands Fashion, and Brands Fashion is working intensively on gaining more retailers in this context to sell uniforms. And we have had increased inquiries by businesses, but also by retail who've expressed interest in uniforms. And I think this is an area where across the whole Fairtrade network, there's definitely potential for growth, but of course, most especially on the German market, and what we are going to continue to strengthen and work on in the future for our strategy. So that's a clear pillar. In addition, we have, as Annabelle mentioned too, home linen is definitely an area where there's interest. What you can see below left is a cabin of one company that's not so well at the moment, which is TUI Travel Tourism, and all cabins of their ferries, of their cruise ships are made of Fairtrade and GOTS cotton, and this is a trend that I think will be continuing. Also in Germany, in the context of increasing sustainability requirements, we've had quite a few church institutions clearly saying that they want to source more sustainably in future. This has to do with the German Textiles Partnership. And here it's all about supply chain building and bridging the gap, because it's a highly competitive area, especially if you come to equipping hospitals. But the commitment, especially by church institutions, has been made public on this. And that's why we're investing effort in this, next to the options of also providing hotels with flat linen. And we've got a number of strong players, at least in Europe, who are who have good distribution channels, who distribute via some of the most well-known textile service suppliers in Europe. And I think building on this, and also building on onboarding these textile service suppliers so that they know what kind of products they have in their product range and what the value is of supplying the market with these products, is one of the areas where we see a trend, and that we will be building on strategically. And maybe moving up to the picture in the top right, which is a photo shooting that we did last year for the Fashion Revolution. There is an increasing interest by informed consumers in fair fashion. And we are seeing increasing resistance against the fast fashion approach, whereby I do 100% agree with Christiane earlier, who said it's the wallet that still dictates the buying decisions of most consumers. but there are a number of budding fair fashion brands who are increasing in momentum on our markets, whether it's Melaware on our market or Tok Tok. These are small brands that have been growing over the past years, and we're happy to see dedicated, very well represented on our market now in Germany, so being sold by some leading textile retailers. And this is what we want to build upon, also to strengthen Fairtrade's profile as a strong partner for the textile sector. And then there's one little picture at the bottom right of this screen, and that's the issue of HRDD legislation. All or many European countries are addressing this issue. UK is addressing this issue. There's also a European initiative, and this does mean that larger businesses are having to address or are not able to avoid addressing questions on how their supply chains are built and how responsible their sourcing is. And this is where Fairtrade can play a role both on the sourcing level as well as in the supply chain. So those would be basically the trends that I think are present in Germany, but maybe also overlap quite a lot with quite a few of the other countries in the Fairtrade network.
Thank you so much, Mariska. So now we've heard from all our speakers. We've got feedback from, different parts of the supply chain, including from our Fairtrade colleagues. I'm having a look at the questions that we have had, and it has come up a few times. We've spoken about price, both the challenge from the consumer side, but also for the producer. There was also a question around the Fairtrade minimum price. So maybe not getting into the detail of the Fairtrade minimum price straight away, but I would like to request Pravakar to share his thoughts on how Fairtrade already supports and can support a bit more on helping farmers have an additional income. How can, what is the further support that we can offer as Fairtrade to producers? Pravakar, if you would answer that question, please.
So you want something, what extra we can do to understand, or what are Fairtrade doing?
Both.
Both.
If there is already something that is happening, but we are also running a bit late on time, so we'll try and keep so that we get a chance to answer most of the questions as well.
As was in my last discussion, I was talking about the first thing the farmer worries is how to bring out the produce of his farm, and the second challenge is about the prices, because like most of the producers, after getting their cotton ready, they are not aware about the prices. Where should we sell and what are the prices? Are we selling at the right prices? In terms of Fairtrade, it's not a similar condition with our producers, because we do some agreements at the farm level, what is our Fairtrade minimum price. At least they have an idea that what is the Fairtrade minimum price, or we give an option that okay, if market prices are higher than our prices, you can sell it at the market prices. So I think it's a this kind of information level. Other kind of certification doesn't have this kind of information awareness. And the second part is when we compare our model to other sustainable models. Other sustainable models are mostly the premiums are decided by the buyers and the market demand. Maybe it's organic or BCA. It's completely dependent upon the market scenario. But in Fairtrade, it's the premiums. Our premiums are fixed. So it's not at least the producers are at least assured of that this is the minimum additional income as in terms of Fairtrade premium we are going to receive. Right, and everyone knows, everyone is quite aware about the premium models. An additional income in terms of Fairtrade premium keep the producer motivated in this farming, in this kind of sustainable farming. And even this premiums, like we don't have to do on personal spending, and also it also helps the whole community to get united and take some decisions on a holistic approach, like for doing something for the communities, and it's doing something for the communities. And one more thing, what I think Fairtrade model is best is because like we include every actors in this.
Hello, I think we have lost you, Pravakar. Pravakar, can you hear us? Okay, there might be an internet issue, I'm assuming. Maybe we move on to the next question and panelists, and we can come back to Pravakar. We've also wanted to know a bit more on during COVID, how Fairtrade has supported or how premium has been used for COVID. And I would like to ask Aziz to feedback. I think we've got Boimamat actually. Yeah, if you could just share some example of premium use or the COVID relief fund from Fairtrade. But I would also request you to keep it really short because we are already running a bit late. So over to you, Aziz.
Thank you, Subindu. I try to present my presentation in English. Our producer organization, Biokishovarz, is an organic farmers start to implement Fairtrade since 2015. We have about 1,600 farmers, 50 of them women. Need to mention to support Fairtrade during the pandemic. Also, the first case of inspection was happening in March. And since that situation in Tajikistan worsened, but there was a deficit with the mask, antiseptics, and the price of food suddenly jumped. In this period, Fairtrade helped us with support with the funds that we used to supply our farmers with masks and antiseptics. Later, Biokishovarz bought wheat flour and cooking oil cotton and supplied into our farmers. Before pandemic, Biokishovarz had several activities to improve farmers' livelihood to use the Fairtrade premium. Our big works was to establish water develop. Now more than 150 farmers got access to irrigation and drinking water. Another our works with premium is we can rehabilitate to kindergarten, where our children of our farmers can leaving their children and go to farms. And another our works is Fairtrade premium. We can establish our own seed farm. This year we can collected more than 170 tons of non-GMO seeds, and this next season we will supply into our to our farmers. Before this was one our work also. We can establish one sport of secondary school of our farmers. Now is working well. And now, with the supporting of Fairtrade, we can organization small processing workshops. The workshop will process beans and further sell in the local and export also with a better price. We also need to mention that Fairtrade premium and the minimum price of our goods help us this year. Now we already sold about 200 tons, 200 tons of Fairtrade cotton again premium, and can using for support during COVID with as you see with wheat flour, with cotton oil, mask, antiseptics, and so on. Now farmers are valuing fair trade a lot because they access to better market and fair price. It's the main success. They appreciate social and the environment principle. It getting trendy and works not only of this field, but is their lives, families as well. Farmers got supported during pandemic and economic crisis only from fair trade, supporting funds and fair trade premium. During the distribution of mass and food, they were very sensitized and couldn't hide their tears, and glad the Biokishovarz and Fagertun also. It felt his from and behalf of our farmer, I want to say pass his regards to you, Fairtrade, and the team of Fairtrade, and thank you that you are with us, and we are proud of be part of Fairtrade sector. It's what little shortly I can talk a lot of words, a lot of cases, but my time is limited. That's only I can just want to say thank you for everybody, for team, for Fairtrade. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Boimamat, and it was finally nice to see you and hear from you as well. Thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you.
I would now, so we've spoken about some of the challenges, we've spoken about opportunities. Now I would like to focus on expectations that there are of each other, you know, supply chains, expectation of the brands from the supply chains, and the other way around as well. So please can I request everyone who's not speaking to be muted? Yeah, thank you. So maybe we can start with, I know Bilal had already touched on this a bit, but you know, getting a feedback from a producer side on what do you think are the expectations that the supply chain has from you or the brands have from you. And I would also like to ask a similar question to Annabelle and Mariska as well. You know, what are the expectations that you're seeing businesses have? So from the supply chain or from Fairtrade, and you know, we're trying to see, do we match up to it? So it is more about trying to get a sense of expectations. So over to you, Bilal, first. So if you can share from your side on this topic.
Thank you, Subindu. Thank you for giving the chance again. So expectation from our brands here, what we have experienced, that our brand is expecting a very excellent quality. Yes, we are doing with the supply chain management, everything we are doing as well. They want zero trash, which is quite impossible. And similarly, like in Pakistan, so far we have old technology ginning machines, from where it is not possible to extract a very excellent with less trash and excellent cotton. But their expectation is on the very high quality, and they want to pay us the conventional cotton rates, which is a challenge for us. So on that, like if we reduce the fair price or the farmer premium, so it looks that where we stand on that, on the fair trade business on that. So mainly at our side, the challenge is on the quality versus the prices.
Thank you. Annabelle, from your side, what are the challenges that you see and how Fairtrade, you know, the expectations that you see and how Fairtrade is trying to, you know, overcome these?
Sure. Well, I think some of them, quite a few of them actually were mentioned earlier when we had the companies talking. We are seen as a partner, and that means that we also must understand the realities the businesses face, and we need to speak the same language. So we are partners that understand each other, and of course we are not a business company in the same way, but we must understand the needs they face, so we can provide this assistance and provide the answers. I think one of the things we mentioned is about the marketing and being commercial. it's very important that we do have a system that is, I would say, complex in many ways, and how can we help talk about fair trade in an easier way to reach out to consumers so they all can understand easily what this is all about, and also understand what we are doing and why we are doing it, and what is the added value of fair trade. So we must be able to show businesses and help businesses express this added value. I think that is a very, very important. And I think here we do have a lot of possibilities as well, because we do have a brand that is really recognized. It is trustworthy, and we have a long history of it. But I think we just need to think a little bit differently in the way we communicate. So that is one thing. Another thing, I think there's an expectation about being agile. We must be able to respond quickly to things that happened. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Mathias from Brand Fashion mentioned this. Either it's about the availability of cotton, or the price we use, or the use of the premium, the numbers. We must provide the answers quickly, because companies are moving fast. We as an NGO, or not an NGO, but an organization, we are moving maybe not as fast as well always, and I think we need to be more agile in how we can respond to that. And the last thing I would say, and I think that was also mentioned, it is about the pricing model, and how can we be competitive. At the same time, it is important that we stay true to our mission and to who we are. So we must not lose ourselves, because we need to be fair trade, and this is the reason why we have our system as it is. But I mean, how can we make those two meet, so we can manage to be competitive in the world today, and answer both the producers' needs and the businesses' needs. So I think those are the expectations that we sense with the Norwegian market, and I think we also do have a huge opportunity to do something about it. And I don't think it's a lost cause, not at all. I think there's a lot of things we can do to be able to respond, but I think it's very important that we do respond to it.
Thank you so much. Mariska, what is your experience or sense of the expectations? Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'd agree with Annabelle, and both Mathias and Christiane and Johan have brought up quite a few items where it is essential that fair trade fulfills the expectations of brands. And I think in this context, high value advisory services on potential supplies. Where can I get this kind of product in what kind of quality? This is something that substantially needs to be improved, and I think we've made quite some progress on this during the last years, but this is one of the central topics. It needs to be one of the central topics for our global strategy in cotton and textiles for 2021-2025. Yeah. I think in this context, we also can't completely ignore the needs for information, or concrete information on human rights due diligence compliance within our supply chains, whether we're talking about the cotton context or further along the supply chain, because businesses will be increasingly required by legislation to fulfill certain things. And if we can offer the services that these businesses need to fulfill these requirements, then I see quite a lot of potential for us in this context. I think transparency is a key issue, whereby this word is used with a lot of different meanings, and I think most brands will agree that transparency is important for them, but it would not necessarily be in the interest of their business if their complete supply chain was shared on a B2C level. So the businesses need transparency in their supply chain, and we do have this through Fairtrace and FlowCert. But this knowledge is something that needs to be increasingly available for businesses, of course, in compromise with the suppliers down the supply chain too. So this is, I would connect this issue also with our advisory services on supply chain level. And of course, also supply chain building is this is also an essential issue. If spinners are needed in Bangladesh, we need to be able, as an organization, as a network, to strategically acquire certain partners who are recommended by the businesses we work together with, in order to decrease these bottlenecks. If industrial partners in Pakistan say we're having massive difficulties accessing fair trade cotton, where can we get it from? Then we need to be quick and agile, and we need to be able to say within a couple of days, this is where you can get it, or maybe, as is sometimes the case, we do not have this product in the required quality as yet. And then the topic that Annabelle started with, I think communication is essential. We see quite some potential with the fair trade sourcing model, even if mass balance is an issue that is currently being criticized. But this is one of our growth pillars in our strategy 21-25. And I think what we need to do there is increase credibility, or make clear how credible this system is, and increase our communication on consumer level to help people understand what does this mean and what are the benefits. And in this context, we're actually working on a film to explain what mass balance in a cotton supply chain potentially would need, and that because we have this for food, but you can't give a textile partner or a textile consumer a film on mass balance on orange juice. This just doesn't work. So specifically for the cotton and textile context, communication tools that will help people better understand what the issues are and what the difference is that fair trade makes. And then, of course, to be able to do that, we also need to be able to communicate clear impact data on clear issues that that justify our arguments, or our USPs, really making clear, if we have requirements on water, this makes such and such benefits. This is stuff that we've really got to be able to step up upon, so that we can share with businesses all the good work that we're doing, that we maybe not always so good as we should be on collecting, but communicating the benefits directly to businesses with proper data, I think is also key to a good communication, combined, of course, with a fashionable, trendy, fashion revolution approach to increase interest for fair trade textiles, and make consumers want to look up what kind of products there are with the fair trade mark on the fair trade cotton mark, or maybe fair trade textile production mark, and really find out what there is to discover. And as this is probably what they want to do, if they were in their heart of hearts want to think about why and what clothes they're buying for what kind of price. So yeah, communication would be what I'd finish up with.
Yeah. Thank you so much, all of you. I think I would now want to go back to businesses. So you guys have touched on some of the expectations. We've heard from the producers, we've heard from Mariska and Annabelle what we think are the expectations. And of course, this is based on many years of experience of us working with businesses. But I think it would be great to hear from you guys in your words. Mathias. Okay, I think Bilal has a question. Very quickly, Bilal, over to you, and then we come back. Yeah, go ahead, please. You're muted.
Thank you. Thank you. I was talking about the COVID issues currently and how to organize our SPO. We are preparing for that, but during COVID days, it is difficult to manage it. Plus, the challenges on the due to the COVID was how to hold a GA collectively for against all the farmers. We have more than 500. And the third was about the certification cost, which is quite high. Even for the SPO. So can you please suggest on that?
Yeah, I think maybe these questions can be picked up offline with NAPP. There are already provisions on how GA can take place. So there are relaxation in the rules on how GA can take place during COVID. So we will make sure that we get back to you on these questions, and NAPP will be in touch, and we'll be in touch with you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for asking. It was again a challenge from the COVID, so I put it over there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So coming back to the question on expectations from all businesses, by businesses or fair trade. So maybe we can go in the same order. Mathias, Christiane, and Johan on your feedback on this, please.
Yeah, thank you. I learned today something which I want to put first before I start with what I have prepared here. I learned that Fairtrade is already doing a lot in the supply chains, and that there is relief funds and help with certification costs. And also Bilal has mentioned that clearly, and that is something I would just like to underline. That's great, and that's also what this standard stands for, in my opinion. So just to put this also into a positive perspective. Fairtrade is, for me, a well-known and a trusted standard, and also, like Christiane and Johan have mentioned it, the seal is recognizable and it is in the market, and Fairtrade is trusted by many customers when they see the seal that it stands for something really, really good. However, since Mariska has mentioned the the mass balance concept, we always call it the raw material model. I would like to say that I personally see this very critical, and also my company sees this concept very critical. And I don't want to hide that away, but I just want to put it out since we're all here. The requirements are less strict, and for me, there's no guarantee that the product which I'm wearing right now is actually containing Fairtrade cotton. Fairtrade cotton and the conventional cotton can be mixed, blended, cannot be there, can be somewhere else, nobody knows. And the supply chain is also not necessarily ProCert certified. So I'm having with B2B clients, like they were already shown, discussions about is this standard really something? There's a massive uncertainty in the market, and for that we have decided as a company not to pursue this way. Just we keep it to that, how we call it, the real standard, because then we know what we get. My T-shirt has Fairtrade cotton in it, full stop, no need to discuss anything further. And that is what we really want, and what our end customers want. So we think it is important to promote the real Fairtrade standard that also generates higher premiums, and that is actually what is needed. Higher premiums is needed for the complete supply chain. And I'm personally afraid it will sooner or later water down the complete trademark concept. And if you have a light version, it will just make it easier to be watered down. And nobody knows what to expect in a post-COVID-19 area. But what will remain, even if the virus hopefully is gone someday, what will remain, first of all, is an economic crisis that is happening in Europe, that is happening in Asia, that is happening globally. And that, to the unfortunate, my belief is it would stick for longer. And that's exactly the time when we have to be very, very resilient and clear, and not offering side door here and side door there. But we have to say, this is our concept, this is what we stand for, and yes, it costs money, but it needs to be done. And also here, I think Pravakar was it who mentioned climate change. If we just put climate change into this perspective, then we all know where we pay this money for. So we have so many good and resilient arguments on our side to provide the real standard. Yeah. That is one thing, and like what I said earlier, we need support on gaining transparency. I have already elaborated on that, so I spare you for further talks. What else do I have mentioned? Yeah, more active promotion of Fairtrade standard, not only in Germany. I would also love the Fairtrade textile standard. By the way, there's only 2 companies providing or trying to accomplish this Fairtrade standard. I would also love that this is promoted anywhere else, because no man is an island. We don't want to be in this alone. We want that others also jump on the train and someday live this Fairtrade textile standard. And this can only be done when it's when it's contributed to others as well. So please, please, please help us here in promoting it and get others on the table. We're willing to take every talk, and 2 can't change the world. 10 would be better, and 100 would make a large effect and difference. Yeah. Conclusion: please, more marketing and help us to get more willing partners. We're here, and we want that. And that was it.
Thank you. That's really great, Mathias. And just to assure you, we all are really trying in our markets as well. And there were already questions specific for you if you would want to expand to other markets outside of Germany. So maybe we will pick this, depending on how much time we are left. We are really running over time, but we will pick this up with you if we can't pick it up during the conversation. Over to you, Christiane, please.
Yeah, thank you. Well, yeah, I'm gonna just wanted to say that from our perspective, Fairtrade is kind of the standard that to the greatest extent expand the focus we have in working with social responsibility of factories into the raw material segment. And we depend on certification scheme in order to have an impact on that level. And the Fairtrade resonates very well with our focus there. So our expectation is, of course, to continue with that, and that Fairtrade also continues with the strong work that they do in the raw material segment. That will be very helpful for us as a brand. We have talked about traceability, and we see that as the way it is today. It is a huge strength, and it will be an important aspect for us going forward. And I'm sure that somehow, in some way, that could even be developed further going forward. And the other aspect that I just want to mention that also Mariska mentioned about impact data and the climate change that we stand in front of, is that the industry is getting more data driven. Brands are committing to climate goals. Also within the EU, they are talking about a potential climate tax or a carbon footprint labeling on products, and getting good impact data and being able to calculate perhaps the footprint of the raw material used in the product made. It's going to be more or less essential in the years to come. And I think that also Fairtrade hopefully can contribute to that going forward. And that I think also will help to prove the case of Fairtrade cotton as kind of the strongest option for sustainable cotton in the market. And we will be, we need to deliver on the sustainable development goals, and we see that Fairtrade can support and help us address several of the goals, especially in the raw material segment that we have already mentioned. And if in addition that could be backed up with good data, I think that would be fantastic for us, but also for Fairtrade and the communication to consumers and to other businesses as well, because this is something that is everybody needs going forward. So if we can drag this big wagon together, that would be great. And the last thing, because the impact Fairtrade actually has on environmental issues, you do work with it in the raw material segment, but I think it is somehow kind of under communicated. And I think that going forward, we would like to have like a stronger communication tool for that particular part going forward, because I see great potential in this field, and this is getting more and more important for, I think, all levels in the supply chain actually. So that's kind of what we expect from Fairtrade going forward, and hopefully it will be a good relationship in the years to come
Great. Thank you so much, Christian. Johan, over to you, please.
Thank you. Again, really good points addressed by the panelists. What springs to mind is Mathias mentioning the problems with mass weighting. This is what BCI are doing now. And we know that about 80% of all BCI coming out of India is conventional cotton, and they just purchase trivial tokens, BCI tokens. And these are companies that control the global demand of cotton. We're talking about H&M, IKEA, Levi's, Tommy Hilfiger, 100 other brands, bestseller. And they are winning. So they're already 15 times bigger than Gods and Fairtrade in a way shorter time due to this kind of shortcuts and zero traceability, zero regulations to live up to, just a bunch of recommendations, etc. But from the consumer point of view, they're equally good as Fairtrade and Gods, I'm sure, especially in the less educated countries like Scandinavia and US, Asia. Here, I think the Benelux and German-speaking countries are way ahead in terms of awareness. Mariska also pointed out the need for allowing or making sure that ginning and spinning mills that are further up in the supply chain from the farms get certified where needed to be, and super important. But in the grand scheme of things, the climate crisis is the most paramount for mankind. And like Christiane had pointed out, push those arguments much harder. That needs to be brought to the forefront, because we have a CO2 saving of 43% by going fully compliant with GOTS and Fairtrade compared to BCI or conventional cotton. And this is what consumers are willing to pay extra for. Over 70% of European consumers will invest in that. It would be very handy with a new modern tool, like a system that can control the chain of custody of the fibers and the yarns and the materials throughout the chain in order to trace the origin. And a lot of companies are looking at this now with blockchain. This morning I had a conversation with Lindex, H&M, and New Jeans, and many others, and they all claim that it's very complicated, but that they will get there. So it seems this system can be very effective, and this is something very relevant for Fairtrade, of course, because it will cement the credibility of the numbers that you present. Would be very nice in some cases for brands to work closer with the farmers, because brands are now becoming their own medias, because we have social media and we have YouTube and podcasts and so on. So the brands who manage to become a media have the power to communicate the realities of the cotton farmer, and that can bridge a lot of the information bottlenecks on the way. So that should be encouraged.
Okay, thank you so much, Johan, for your input as well. I think it has been very helpful to get feedback from all of you and the expectations. There are a few clarifications that can be done. I do not want to take time on that. Could we have the third poll and get a feedback from the audience where they think Fairtrade should be supporting cotton producers more, and then we move to the questions. While we have the poll up, just wanting to clarify on the mass balance model. I'll not get into any debate, but there should not be any confusion around the benefit of the farmer. The benefit of the farmer remains the same. The rest, there are changes in the way it can be sourced and how it can be labeled. But this is not the time to get into the conversation in any detail, but just wanted to clarify that, that aspect of it. And there are pros and cons. There are reasons why it was developed. The whole objective was to get more benefit for the farmers so that there is more sale in different commodities. It was launched for cocoa, sugar, and cotton, and now it has actually expanded to other commodities because we've seen that there is a lot of benefit. Could we have the third poll up, please? Okay, while they're trying to get the poll up, let me have a quick look at the questions as well. Unfortunately, a lot of them are addressed to Fairtrade, and I will try and pick up the ones which are, where we can get more engagement. There are some comments on, when we were talking about the challenges, there are some comments even around the migrant labor issues that are being currently seen in producing areas because of COVID. And okay, there are questions around climate change as well. So there is a question around indicators on climate change. I know you guys have touched on it slightly, but maybe one of the brands, if you could. Is there anything more specific in terms of indicator that you would expect for climate? It is a very complex issue and an expensive one if you want to start measuring it against science-based targets as well. So, literally a one-line answer from one of you would be great if you want to address that. And I'm not sure we have the poll up yet. Just again, Gideon or Anu, if we can have the poll up while we continue with the questions because we are very short on time. Over to one of you to answer the question on indicators on climate change.
Well, since I've been the one that has been addressing that, I'm trying to take that question. Well, it's complex to answer. What kind of indicators do we want? But we are in the process. We have joined different initiatives. We have joined the SAC. We have joined the Swedish Textile Initiative for Climate Action. And there will be set kind of science-based targets that we would need to respond to. So I can't actually see what kind of indicator just now, but that there will be, it will be needed for brands to answer to certain indicators. And I'm sure I can have a light to that later on, but for now I have not a particular indicator, but greenhouse gas emission should be one of them that is quite important going forward.
Thank you so much. All right. Yeah, and Mathias, for you, there is interest from other countries. So they have been asking, would you want to expand in other markets, and what would be the best way to go about it?
Yeah, in terms of tier one production or in terms of supply chain, that would be the interesting part to know. In terms of tier one productions, and now I'm already in my answer to the next question. I would say that presently we are not seeking tier one suppliers. We have quite a few, And I believe in smaller supply chains, but in terms of the underlying tiers, spinning, ginning, that is of course interesting. They should then contact me or contact our compliance team or contact our offices in the countries, and then we take it from there.
And what about selling more in other countries? How do we
selling?
Yeah.
That is of course welcome. That's what we're there for. Clients of course can approach us, and we are of course also actively approaching clients. And right now in COVID-19 times, honestly speaking, it is very, very difficult because we cannot even have real presentations. It's everything is virtual. We send samples and we cannot meet and show. And textile is also about touching it, seeing it, discussing about it, and not only wearing it necessarily. So, but completely open to that, yeah.
Great. So we shall be in various offices, shall be in touch with you, hopefully where we see interest, and we can try and take that conversation further.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there is a question which is around mismatch, because we realize that the producers, it is both mismatch of price. On one side we're saying that the farmers are not getting enough, and on the other side we're saying Fairtrade cotton is too expensive. So do we revise the price of Fairtrade cotton? How do we go about it? That is one of the reasons why we haven't. So we are seeing growth, but the moment the price will go further up, I mean, it's already a challenge, it will become more difficult. And also the second mismatch on supply and demand. We have just 3 minutes left to answer a very complex question, which we will not be able to. So maybe, I'm not sure if, if anyone has a 1 minute answer, please go ahead, or we kind of, these are bigger questions which we will start discussing in our strategy. But any thoughts? Matthias, did you want to come in?
Yeah, if this is to the question of more resilience in supply chain, for me, it's just one sentence. It's collaboration, cooperation. No man is an island. We are in this together. So it really depends that people are working together, talking to each other, and trying to find answers to these various questions which are in the room. I think that is what it's all about.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we wanted to discuss a bit more on supply chains and its resilience, but because of lack of time, I don't think so we will be able to cover that. It has been a very rich conversation, and it has been great to hear from all different aspects and some themes that are common, even if we might have a mismatch. But what has come up is definitely climate change has come up. We've seen communication, both brands need better communication. Fairtrade needs to improve on that, and that is how the producers will benefit as well. Price, the eternal conversation, the chicken and egg. How do we make it? How do we make it work? On a principle level, it is great to be talking about even living incomes. Of course, we want Fairtrade farmers to have living incomes, but we also need the market to be ready and the consumers to pay that. We have probably a big role in advocacy and consumer awareness to bridge that gap. And then traceability has come up quite a few times. So to assure you, in the new global strategy, not just for cotton, but widely, there is a lot of work being done on the data side as well, on traceability. And of course, collaboration. We will not be able to achieve anything without the support of all of you. We have 1 minute left, but any last thoughts from anyone? Any closing remarks? Very welcome. Anyone would want to go ahead?
I just want to say thank you, because I think you were saying, Mathias, about the collaboration and the partnership, and I think that is essential. But then it also means that we need to be honest with each other, and I really appreciate that you have been, all of you, saying quite clearly the expectation and the needs you have, and I think that's good. You've also been good at pointing out the positive effects of it and why you're in it with us, and I think that is really good, and that is a really good starting point for us to go back and sit down internally and work together and see what would be the next good step. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Annabelle. I think that's a very good wrap up for the session. And I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. And there's a lot of food for thought. And be assured, all of it we will consider when we start working and finalizing our strategy for cotton for the next 5 years. Thank you so much for your time again. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.